with some live local entertainment and some killer cocktails. So you think you're in a pickle? Well, you're not. Relax. I'm Tom Chapman, chef at Nick's Ristorante at 10300 Bailey Cove Road, just south of Weatherly. We have all that and more. Our friendly and helpful staff is eager to help you Tuesday through Saturday, starting at 5. So, corral that crazy crew of yours and give us a call at 256-489-8280 or tell them to check us out at nicksristorante.com. I promise you, the gang will all think you're a culinary cruise director of awesomeness if you take them all to Nick's. See you soon. Ciao. Okay, Chad, kill that music.
Nick's is for patrons 19 or older.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi at this hour. Giants running back Saquon Barkley expected to return to practice for the first time since suffering a knee injury in Week 2 last season. Expected to be on the field practicing with his teammates in a limited capacity this afternoon. The Giants plan to slowly ramp up Barkley's activity over the next couple of weeks. New York opens up the regular season versus Denver on September 12th. Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson back at practice. He'd missed the previous 5 days. No reason given by the team for his absence. Watson, who still wants a trade, is facing 22 active lawsuits alleging sexual assault and inappropriate behavior. ESPN's Mike Reese reports an MRI on tap today for Patriots tight end Hunter Henry. On the injured shoulder he suffered yesterday at practice, the 26-year-old was a key piece in New England's busy offseason, signing a 3-year, $37 million contract.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect a partly sunny sky. High temperatures will be topping out in the lower 90s for the afternoon. Isolated showers and thunderstorms are expected in the afternoon as well. Heat index values back in the 100s. For Monday night, a partly cloudy sky, low temperatures falling into the lower 70s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
He's bald, he's opinionated, and he's here.
You're morally reprehensible, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.
Listen to Feinbaum, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Who wants coffee? Anybody wants coffee?
Can you get me off the hook? Type C.
The tire's tired.
He ain't good looking, but he sure ain't shy. He's a northern-bred, southern-fed, slick-talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the junkyard dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Tide and Tiger land, nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Testosterone high today.
Yeah, Tom's a man, he's got the plan, he's really got it made. What a wife he's got, she's smoking hot, check out the junkyard babe. When everything is said and done, no one can beat his show. He's a high-tech redneck, Tony Soprano. If you love sports without the fluff, he's got the master plan. Cause nobody does it like Thom Abraham, yeah.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Oh, yes, we are on, Coach. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Reaction Monday in the Doghouse. College camps are open around the country, so we are going to get into that. Plus, one of the most iconic coaches in the history of the game has passed away. More on Bobby Bowden in a moment. The Olympics has come to a close, and for NBC, it was a ratings disaster. And many are blaming the politics of it all on the miserable numbers. I'm going to give you some numbers on that here in a little bit, but there were plenty of proud Americans over there. There really were, including Kevin Durant, who derided the media critics by telling one of them to, quote, act like you're an American, close quote. It's one of my favorite moments of the Olympics. That and that wrestling girl that was so freaking proud to be an American. Love that. For the record, we did end up with the most medals for the 7th straight Summer Games, and once again ended up with the most gold medals by one. Thank you to the women's volleyball team beating Brazil in the last event of the Olympics. The last time we didn't win the most gold medals was 2008 in Beijing. But we did, according to some sources, woefully underperform. And I'll explain that. As while the baseball races have heated up, with the Braves winning 7 of the last 10 games, while the Phillies have won 8 of their last 10, including sweeping the Mets, who have now fallen to 3rd in the division and who are on a 2-8 run. The Braves are now just 2 back of the Phils for the division lead. Phils get the Dodgers this week, while Atlanta hosts the Hot Reds. Also spiraling at 2-8 in their last 10 is the Boston Red Sox, as the Rays, Yankees, and A's and Blue Jays have all gone 8-2 in their last 10. Sox and the A's are in a virtual tie now for the wild card, for the 2 wild cards. The Yankees just a 1 game back of Boston in the loss column. And they still got another big series coming up with the Red Sox. The Blue Jays, as I said, also 8-2 in their last 10. They're just a game back as well in the loss column. I mean, it is wild in the wild card chase in the American League. In the National League wild card, the Reds, who are playing great, they're back in the mix, 2.5 games out of the wild card. The only division that's really a laugher right now is the AL Central, with the White Sox up by 10 games. And, of course, Chicago and the Yankees will play that Field of Dreams game on Thursday night. Shouldn't it have been the White Sox and the Cubs? I mean, I get there's a tie. The White Sox are all over the movie Field of Dreams with the, Shoeless Joe Jackson hook to the movie. And I understand that they play, I guess Ray Kinsella's daddy played for the Yankees. He had a cup of coffee with the Yankees. So there's a Yankee White Sox hook to that thing. But really, shouldn't that have been the White Sox and the Cubs? Iowa Cubs, that's all Cubs country, White Sox country. It should have been the White Sox and the Cubs, in my opinion. All right, coming up on the show today, Auburn camp is open. And with some early observations from the first few days and the first weekend of practice, Justin Ferguson will join us from the Auburn Observer. And then later on in the 11th, Tom D'Angelo of the Palm Beach Post is back. Now, he covers the Miami Hurricanes now, so we will be talking to him again right before Alabama and Miami tee it off for the season. But for years, Tommy covered Bobby Bowden and the Florida State Seminoles. And he has thoughts and reflections on the great man who so nearly became the head coach at Alabama. You by now, I'm sure the story is of legendary stuff. 1987, Bobby Bowden goes to Tuscaloosa assuming that he's being offered the job. And when he gets there, they're like setting up an interview. He's like, I don't interview. I'm not interviewing for this job. Do you want me? Offer me the job. He left without the job. And then he went on this historic run with the Noles. I mean, 14 straight seasons from 1987 to 2000. He ranked in the top 5 in the country. Most of those seasons actually 12 of those, maybe 13, 13 of those 14 seasons, they ranked in the top 4. He won 2 national championships along the way. Every year in that span, he was a double-digit winner in the regular season, in the 12-game regular season. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, dog, that's no big deal. Nick Saban's done that. Well, yeah. But since Nick Saban turned Alabama around 13 years ago, in those 13 years, they finished in the top 5 9 times. So there's 4 times they finished outside of the top 5. Of course, in those 9 seasons that they finished in the top 5, they finished number 1, winning those 6 national championships. But let me just say this. And I'm just going to say this. If there was a 4-team playoff when the Noles were rolling like that during that 14-year span, if there was a 4-team playoff, they would have been in the playoffs at least 12 and maybe 13 of those 14 years. Think about that for a second. They would have been in the playoff probably 13 of the 14 years that they finished in the top 5. They were at least, I think once they were in the top 5. Once they were 5th. Every other time they were like in the top 4 in the country. They would have been in the playoff. Do you think that the Seminoles, if they've been in the playoff every year for 13 years, you think they might have won more than just 2 natties? We were voting on it for a lot of that time. And they were getting voted, they were voting other people. But if the Seminoles, they were like Alabama. They were like that then. If they'd have gotten into the tournament, I bet they'd have won, I'm going to say at least 4, maybe 5 national championships during that time that they won 2. When we were basically voting on it for the most part. I mean, it's substantial. On the flip side, playoff expansion assisted Alabama in 1 national championship during these 6. In the 2017 game, right? I mean, they're not in the national championship. They were number 4 entering that tournament. That's the second in 26 year to win over Georgia, right? They're not in the play. I don't think Georgia is either. I think Georgia was 3, right? Wasn't Alabama was 4? Georgia was 3. The 2 teams that played in that national championship game previous to the playoff would not even have been in the game. And Ohio State doesn't win that first one in 2015 without playoff expansion. They were number 4, and they knocked off number 1 Alabama. They were number 4. And then who knows what impact Wide Right would have had. I mean, I'll tell you what. There were some real heady times in Florida in those days. I mean, do you remember what it was like in the 90s in Florida? I mean, you had Florida, Miami, and Florida State in the top 5 every year. 3 of the top 5 teams in the country were Florida, Florida State, and Miami, it seemed like every year. Every year. I also have Nick Saban's comments on Bowden. He tells a great story about Bowden's class and compassion. All right, phone lines are open. You want to jump in? Phone lines are open. 256-576-4977. It's a good old-fashioned way. 256-576-4977. We also have the entire digital doghouse for you as well. Our Twitter feed and the Facebook page is at Thom Abraham Show. Your text window, 732-9TA-SHOW. At 732-982-7469 for those of you that are Alpha Challenged. Yeah, go back. I mean, I broke it down somewhat. But you go back and look at how many times Florida State would have been in the national championship college football playoff. How many would they have won then? The Zone is on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook at 97.7 ESPN and online at 97.7ESPN.com and on the app. Have you gotten the app?
You can take it near, you can take it far, you can take it in your car, you can take it to a bar.
You need that friggin' app. Get that app, man. You need it. Our new Facebook page, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Go there. This is new. Don't think that just because you used to have it that you got it. You need to go there, like it, and subscribe. Hit that little notification bell so that you get notifications when things are happening. Like you can watch the show there. You can watch the show on the Twitter. You can watch the show on the Twitch. You can see Grizzlicious right there. I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, like we're crystal clear. I don't know. Like Steve Spurrier. I don't know. back in that little glass booth, playing the Platters That Matter and the Stacks of Wax and answering the phones and thrilled that the video feed is working. It's Coach Chris.
Do you know who I am? Who in the blue hell are you? I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I'm telling you, there's an embarrassing press conference in that kid's future.
You don't ever say that to me. Bullcrap.
There won't be any misinformation. There won't be any false statements. There won't be any hearsay.
How come there ain't no Puerto Ricans on Star Trek?
You ask me those kind of questions, it really pisses me off.
Can you get me off the hook? For old time's sake.
You ask a question every week that I don't know anything about.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
You do what everybody else in media does, just create some and throw it on the wall and see what sticks.
I ain't gonna be buried. I want a taxidermist to stuff me.
Say hello to my little
Chris, we didn't get any of those Saban moments over the weekend. We really didn't. When he spoke, we got one from Pete Golding, which I wanna get to. I give all the credit in the world to Steve Moulton. He comes up with all of this. I don't know when he does it. I don't know when he gets all of that stuff, but he got all of that sound. And I listened to them. I listened to everyone, and I listened to them for my own general information, and I decide if they're ever worthy of putting on the air. And a lot of times they're like, if I get bored like 10 seconds in and I'm like coach speak, I just kill it. You know what I mean? Okay, I'll go to the next one. We didn't get those moments from Saban over the weekend, but we did get a really cool story from him about Bobby Bowden. And even though we knew Bobby Bowden was sick, it was still a little bit of a shock to the system when we saw that he had passed.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's just a legendary coach in and around. I mean, just I guess even in the state of Alabama, it seems. And then along
oh, sure, he coached at Samford,
right? And then with Florida State as well. And
yeah.
I mean, just a great coach. I mean, just a great individual as well. Talked with Gene Williams earlier today from warchant.com, and he just expressed such great thoughts and just talk such great things about how just beyond being a coach. And that's kind of how, I mean, you're a coach, yeah. and I've been a coach, and it's not about us, it's about the players. And that's all he was about his players. And that's really how that's a coach that really can stick with me. It's a coach that you remember. It's a coach that you thought is like a father figure, and that's what Bobby Bowden was. And you can see why Nick Saban kind of gravitated toward him a little bit because of just how special it was to him too as well. And that's just coaches. Like, coaches always have their own coaches, basically. So like, right. I have coaches that I can sit here and talk good about and will always remember, and I'm sure you do as well. So, and I'm sure there's plenty of us out there as well. So,
well, the thing about Saban, the connection for Saban with Bobby Bowden is the West Virginia connection.
Right.
They're both West Virginia boys, as is Jimbo Fisher. And the other part of it is that, Bobby Bowden was the head coach at West Virginia. Saban tells an incredible story about when Saban was a student assistant or a graduate assistant for Don James. And at the same time, Bobby Bowden was the head coach at West Virginia. And it was when Saban's dad, it was like a legendary Pop Warner coach. You wouldn't think there is such a thing, right? But it was a big deal back in the day. He was a legendary Pop Warner youth coach in West Virginia. And Bobby Bowden actually knew his father, Saban's father, and so on. So Saban is coaching with Don James, I believe up at, I'm going to say Michigan State, is where he was with Don James as a student assistant at the time when Saban's daddy died.
My first year of being a graduate assistant is when my father passed away, and I was at Kent State being a graduate assistant for Don James. And, one day the phone rings and it's Coach Bowden, and, he says, I know your father passed away. I know your mom might be struggling. If you feel like you need to come closer to home, because Morgantown was like 25 miles from where I grew up, I have a job for you here if you need to do that. So I was like, wow, this guy's the head coach at West Virginia University, and has that much compassion for my family, in our situation and our circumstance and my mother, not very many people would do something like that. So, but I think that was a reflection of what kind of person he was. I've always tried to emulate Coach Bowden in terms of the class that he represented his organization with. Seldom said a bad word about anybody. Was always very kind and upbeat to everybody that he ever met, and was always that way with me. And I would talk to him on occasion about, things that, I had questioned about professionally. And there's probably not many in this profession that I have more respect for than Coach Bowden, not only as a coach, not only what he sort of accomplished on the field, but the kind of person he was, the kind of character he had, and the class that he sort of exemplified as a college football coach.
That story tells a lot. I mean, think about it. I mean, Saban's a 22-year-old kid at the time, right? He's a graduate assistant at Kent State. I think I was at Michigan State, at Kent State, where he goes on to become the head coach. But he was a graduate assistant at Kent State, and Bobby Bowden calls him and says, "Do you need to come home? Because I got a job for you if you need to come home." That's who Bobby Bowden was. That's who Bobby Bowden was at West Virginia. That's Bobby Bowden before Bobby Bowden became Bobby Bowden. You know what I mean? Back in the early 70s when he was at West Virginia. So that was the kind of guy he was. He coached 4 years at what was then Howard, which became Samford, of course. He was 31-6 there. Went to West Virginia. Had a good run there. He had, interestingly enough, he had lost in 74. They went 4-7. They came back in 75, went 9-3, and they won the Peach Bowl. And that's when Florida State came calling. But Grizz, the thing is that people don't understand, because for all of your life, you think of Florida State as one of the blue bloods of college football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Florida State, I mean, I'm 15 years old at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about Florida State.
Right.
Florida State's a teacher's college in Tallahassee. They had gone, I think, 4-26, something like that, in the 3 previous years. Everybody always knows famously about how, Burt Reynolds played running back at Florida State. Not the Florida State when, you talk about Burt Reynolds playing running back at Florida State, you're like, wow, was he that good? No. Florida State was a teacher's college. It was a slappy college back in the day. They were an independent. When he got it going at Florida State in 1987, they were still an independent. They were an independent all the way until 1992 when they joined the ACC. So, the Florida State that Bobby Bowden takes over is not the Florida State that we think of now. And when he went there, the wheels were turning. He already had his eyes on the Alabama job.
Yeah.
He was going to be the head coach at Alabama. That was kind of the thought process. And you never want to beat a guy that follows the guy, but the thought process was that Bear Bryant, even though he was only, he's younger than Nick Saban when he died, Bear Bryant. So even though Bear Bryant, he looked like, I guess to us then, as kids, he looked like he was 100 years old. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm looking at the picture of Bear Bryant I got on my wall right now, and he's like 67 in that picture that I'm looking at right now. He's 7 years older than me in this picture, and I'm looking at him right now, and he looks like he's 90.
People were built different back in the day.
Well, he also
aged differently. We're like adults at 14.
Yeah, but I mean, he also, he went through a couple of packs of Chesterfields a day, and also liked to hit the, he hit the whiskey pretty good. I mean, it wasn't uncommon to see him with a heater and a glass of whiskey, with 2 inches of whiskey in a glass. But so he kind of lived hard that way. Not to mention, he fought bears and did hard things. He had a hard life. You know what I mean? From Fordyce, Arkansas. Anyway, the thought process was that Bobby Bowden and his, was going to be. So then he gets it going. Bear passes away. Ray Perkins goes in there. It doesn't really do bad, but it was just impossible to be the guy that follows the guy. And now he's got it going at Florida State. He's going 9-3, and then he goes 11-1. And he goes to Tuscaloosa after Ray Perkins, thinking he's got the job. He's going there; they're going to offer him the job. And the president sits him down to do an interview with him. And he's like, I don't interview now at this point in my career. I'm not interviewing for the job. My career. Hire me. So they don't hire him. He famously tells the president of Florida State, "I'll never coach north of Tallahassee." He was offered the Falcons job at one point in time. He was offered the Auburn job at one point in time. He was offered the LSU job. But he said, I'll never coach north of Tallahassee, and he never did. And, they were incredible. They were incredible over the years. And Grizz, let me tell you, if they had a 4-team playoff back then, 1988, 89, 90, 91, they finish 3-3-4-4 in the polls. They're in the playoff.
Oh, yeah.
And then who knows what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They go off and they win the Sugar Bowl, they win the Fiesta Bowl, they win the Cotton Bowl. They're in the playoffs. You don't know what they would have done. They win the Natty in 93. They lose it in after the 92 season. Was that the choke? Is that when they lost it to Florida? They beat Florida, and I don't know if it was that year. Maybe that was 90. I don't know. Maybe that was 94. I don't. They run together for me. But in 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, okay? 4-4-3-3-3. They're a playoff team.
Oh, yeah.
They're a playoff team. All of those years, they're a playoff team. They might win 2 during that stretch. They might win 1 of the other ones. I think he could have won 5 national championships. That's what I think. All right. Let's get a break. Justin Ferguson is up next. We'll talk some Auburn football. Auburn is in camp. Got plenty to get to on the radio show today. It's the Thom Abraham Show. Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
Will the Atlanta Falcons make the playoffs in 2021? The latest playoff odds have the Falcons at plus 185 to make the postseason and minus 225 to miss postseason play. The Falcons finished the 2020 season at 4-12. Over-under win totals for the Falcons in 2021, 7.5. After getting through the bulk of NBA free agency, odds makers are looking ahead to the 2022 NBA Finals. The latest futures have the Brooklyn Nets, the odds-on favorite, at plus 200 to win an NBA title, followed by the Lakers at plus 300, the Bucks and Warriors each at plus 900. Errol Spence Jr., a minus 210 favorite over Manny Pacquiao at plus 180, August 21st for the WBC and IBF welterweight title in Vegas.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Take your taste buds back in time with a trip to the all-new Bubby's Diner, offering a variety of mouth-watering food, from delicious starters to 50-style diner food and meat and 3 meals, featuring owner and Huntsville native Chris Bubby Belcher's family's homemade recipes. Open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at 8412 Whitesburg Drive in the former Gibson's Barbecue. And you can enjoy $50 worth of delicious Bubby's Diner food for half price with this week's Zone Deal. On sale now online at 977ESPN.com.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Every time Taco Bell's nacho fries returned, those Mexican spices were drawing something closer to the surface.
And once they taste that warm nacho cheese sauce, they won't stop till there's nothing left.
Can the Fry Force save the world and the nacho fries we love?
So either we fight together, or we fry alone.
Or will the monsters devour us all? Get your nacho fries today while you can. Now serving at a Taco Bell near you. At participating U.S. locations for a limited time only.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Drinking coffee straight from the pot. Power move. Wearing a bathrobe to work. Power move. Switching to super fast, extra reliable internet from WOW. Power move. Switch and save with WOW Internet for just $19.99 a month. It's switching season, so make a move with our best deal of the year. Get the speed you need starting with Internet 100 for just $19.99 a month. Plus, ask how to get $200 on us. Sign up at wowway.com today.
Wow.
Limited to new customers with autopay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We'd like to invite you to North Alabama's premier patio bar and grill, where at the factory, we have something going on each and every night. Monday night, steak night. Tuesday night, karaoke. Wednesday night, the Jeep community comes out for Jeep Jam. Thursday, it's bike night, the biggest in the valley. Friday and Saturday, live concerts on our 4,000-square-foot patio, along with drink specials and a beautiful staff. What are you waiting on? We will see you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect a partly sunny sky. High temperatures will be topping out in the lower 90s for the afternoon. Isolated showers and thunderstorms are expected in the afternoon as well. Heat index values back in the 100s. For Monday night, a partly cloudy sky, low temperatures falling into the lower 70s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Be sure and join us today from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Now, welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. This segment of the show is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage. North Alabama Mortgage, you know, they can take care of not only the mortgage needs all over the state of Alabama, but also Florida and Tennessee. They do conventional mortgages, they do VA, they do FHA and USDA loans as well. Doesn't matter whether it's a purchase or a refinance. The point is this: it can be a little scary. You're not sure exactly what you're doing. And these are the guys that you need to talk to kind of help you through it. In fact, I know myself a little bit later on today, I'm going to be talking to Brian Hammaker myself, and I'm going to say, hey, Brian, I got to talk to me here because I want to refinance one of these deals that I got over here, and I don't know what to do. I really don't know. So I tell them what my situation is, and they got the solutions for you. That's what they do at North Alabama Mortgage. All right, joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, a guy that does a tremendous job at the Auburn Observer, Justin Ferguson is in. Justin, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well, Tom. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are things going at the Auburn Observer? I would imagine this is a time of year where maybe there's some spikes in subscriptions as people get ready to get all the Auburn information they possibly can.
Yeah, we had a pretty good weekend. It's probably our biggest weekend for new subscriptions since Bryant Harsin was hired. So that was cool to see. A lot of people interested in fall camp, and with the access we've got, with camp, we've got several viewing windows and a bunch of interview sessions here this next week. It's a pretty good time to hop on board because we got stuff coming out every morning.
So how have things changed under Harsin from a media standpoint in terms of what you're allowed to watch and so on than how they were under Gus? Is it the same or is it a little bit different? You feel like you're getting a little bit more to see?
It's about the same in terms of length, but it is one of those things where you get to, you get to see it more often. In fall camp, you might not get, more than 3 or 4 viewing windows in the entire camp. We're having 5 in our first week, which is not something we're necessarily used to. A lot of interview sessions as well. Very few days where there's not something going on, whether it's talking to a player or a coach or being able to go out to practice. So that's been a welcome sign for us. It's good to, even if you're only out there for about a half an hour of a practice and kind of just thrown into the middle of it or towards the beginning. you won't learn everything, but you can still always learn a good bit from just being out there. So it's been really good to see that, and we'll get that kind of cranked up going after their off day today.
And Friday they split things up into a newcomer practice in the afternoon and the vets in the morning, but there was some mixing and matching going on with that. Do you know if that's going to be a regular thing, or at what point in time that would end and they would just go full squad?
Yeah, they're back together full squad. They made that switch over this weekend, and that was just kind of early on, just to get some of the newer guys up to speed and try to get things going there. From just how to run practice, how we do things, and now that they've had a couple under their belts, they'll be back to kind of a full squad here coming up this week.
That is a big part of it. People don't understand that, and now you do some of that in the spring, and you can do some of that in some of the other stuff that you do over the summer. But now you've got the full squad together, and that's like the first thing that you have to teach the team. Is how do we practice? When do we do stretch and how I want you to move in between drills? We're not going to walk on green. We're going to run from drill to drill, and this is what this horn means, and this is what this whistle means. And it's almost like you've got to coach up practice before you practice.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's some of the execution, just kind of managing stuff that you got to do. I mean, there was a newcomer practice we were watching. Guys practicing a whole defense, getting out on the field and getting lined up in the right spot. Some of that stuff that you just don't get because you weren't around in the spring, or you might have been a late arrival in the summer. And so it's a lot of these newcomers. This is it's set. This is how sideline. This is how substitutions like that. So that from the newcomers as well. It's kind of all the motions of practices. When you got that foundation, you have to think about it much more next to the drills.
Yeah. The motto seems to be built different. That's what I see on the sweatshirts and so on out there, and Brian Harson's hoodie and so on. What does built different mean? Is there a meaning behind this built different theme for this camp?
Yeah, I think the big thing for all want to differently than what they've done in the past. They've been kind of used to the last couple of stats, and it's really kind of type of culture where it's physically demanding this off season for all. We're really tough. Every time you talk to somebody about them, they're really through it here in the summer. On into fall camp. Where your first teamers versus your first teamers in drills, they want to be very physical in practices. You don't want to open the guys up to even more injury, but they want to get these dudes to get ready, and they want to get ready at a high level. So there's a lot of constant motion. It's pretty physical, the practices, even with them being in shells. And I'm sure when they go into full pads here this week, it's gonna crank up a little bit more. So it's a greater emphasis on being a more physical football team, and what that means every single day, whether it's how you work out, whether it's how you eat, whether it's how you train up, or it's how you go to practice, how you call plays, just the identity of your team. That's been the big emphasis here in this off season, and we're starting to see some of the differences once they get out on the practice field. And I think people will see some differences once they get out on the actual field, start the season next month.
I noticed Justin Ferguson with us here. I noticed that on the picture that they have of you up on the video stream version of the show today, you're wearing a blue check shirt and you're making a hand signal that kind of looks like a hook 'em horns. I got to be honest with you. I don't know where they got this picture. I don't know if you're indicating. I don't know if that's a llama or if you're indicating that there's a second down maybe to somebody. But it looks like a hook 'em horns. And in this day and age, Justin, we may have to find a different picture of that one there. I don't think that's a good one to use.
Yeah, that's and the funniest part about that picture is that was taken at Texas A&M. One of my buddies was trying to sneak in shots of us while we were watching stretches and getting out on the field before the game. And so I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and I just flashed it up there real quick.
So it was a hook 'em horns.
I've always gone back to It was just me kind of throwing up something, and so now that I look at it, I was like, oh yeah, throwing it up at Kyle Field probably was one of the bolder things I did that day.
Yeah, exactly. Now that there'll be an SEC foe beginning when, next year, or 23 or 24. It's certainly not going to be 25. If you're a betting man, what year do you think it is?
23 sounds right. I think you kind of split the difference. It's going to take some time for all the legal stuff to get squared away. But I don't see the Big 12 and the Texas and Oklahoma lasting. This relationship lasting all the way to 2025. I think there's too many hurt feelings, and there's too much of an incentive for other places to kind of get on board and go ahead and move this on. So I think it might be a little too quick to do it next year, although I wouldn't be surprised if they did it next year. But I think 23 makes the most sense in how it all could play out.
Yeah. All right, so of what you've been able to see, two things I'm interested in is what TJ Finley looks like out there. When you look at him, do you say, "Ooh, that's something special"? And and you wonder whether or not, I don't believe there's a full blown competition on, but what's going to happen. Bo Nix airmails a couple of guys, throws a couple into the dirt, and everybody's going to be talking about, let's see this TJ Finley kid. So your thoughts of what you saw with TJ Finley and the offensive line, which has experience, but still has, now they really need to kind of put something together with what it will be a totally different offense.
Yeah, I think the thing with Finley that stands out when we watch him is he is every bit of 6'7" out there.
Wow.
He is a large presence on the field. He looking eye to eye at some of Auburn's biggest offensive linemen, their biggest tight end, Brandon Frazier. They're right eye to eye with him. He's huge. He's got a really good arm. You can see he can really put some velocity in his throws. That's the thing. It's like I don't know when Bo Nix's time at Auburn's going to be done. I don't know when that's going to be, but I think Finley. Physically, you see it in him. You see that a guy that big with that strong arm could end up being a really big weapon in time. I think he just needs some more experience. I think he just needs some more seasoning and some more time to develop. Because he's got a lot of the physical gifts that you really, really want in a quarterback. He's been through the fire in that SEC. So if anything happens to Bo Nix this year, they'll have somebody who can pull the trigger on. But yeah, the thing that started me with Finley is just, man, like, this guy is huge and this guy has a really good arm, and it's just going to be a matter of, I think, just all the intangibles and all the all the mental side and the technique side, they tighten it up with quarterback play that you get, over time in college football. I think once he gets to that level, he can be really, really good for Auburn. And who knows, we might see him more this season. We might not see him till next year or 2 years from now as a starter. But I think, whenever he gets out there, it's going to be pretty impressive, I think. And for the offensive line, I think the big news is Brandon Council. Last season, Brandon Council was probably Auburn's best offensive lineman. And then when he went down with an injury halfway through the year, that line was never quite the same. His versatility and his experience is huge. He's played pretty much everywhere, started everywhere on the offensive line during his career at Akron and now at Auburn. And so him being 100% after missing spring practices is huge. If he can go full speed, he's a weapon. He's a weapon that you can put on that offensive line and say, all right, we feel like he's part of our best five, but who are the other four and where do the other four need to be? And you can kind of move him around. So that was the thing that stood out to me, is that Council looks kind of back to his old ways, which is a very good sign for Auburn. And, they're going to be mixing some things up a little bit. They're going to be trying some tackles out at guard. They're going to be moving guys around the line and just trying to see what the best fit is overall. So I think they have 7-8 guys this year with starting experience coming back. Several of them are going to have to sit out, so they're going to have to find the best five. And it's going to be one of those things that I think it's going to take the whole month, and we might not know who the best five is. Us publicly, we might not know who the best five is until we get closer to game one, because they really, really want to do their due diligence and kind of run all the scenarios out of practice.
And I would think that the biggest beneficiary of all of this is going to be Tank Bigsby and the quarterbacks, obviously. But Tank Bigsby, this guy, he was the freshman of the year last year in the league, 834 yards in a 10-game season, really an 8-game season for him. He hardly did anything the first couple of games before they turned things over to him. I know that Michael Dyer had, 1,093 yards back in 2010, but that was a 12-game season. So to me, this was really good. But this kid had nothing going into the season last year. He had no spring ball. He had no, it was a truncated fall practice and so on. How different does he look even physically as he gets ready for his second season? Sometimes, a lot of times your biggest improvement is from freshman year to your sophomore year.
Yeah, and I think if you look at Tank Bigsby, you can just look at pictures of him. He is bulked up from what he was last year. And this is a guy who broke more tackles than any running back in college football last year. And now you're talking about him being bigger and stronger from this offseason, the strength and conditioning program that they've put him through. I think Tank, Sean Shivers said it the other day, he's gotten even better. And the fact that he didn't have any preparation last season, barely, before coming in and being one of the best running backs in the SEC, I think tells you, okay, now with preparation, now with a new strength conditioning program, new way of going about offense, he could blow up this season and be something really special. This offense is going to want to run the ball downhill, and that's the kind of his game. He is really, really good at that. When he gets space, and he breaks enough tackles, he's got enough moves and top end speed that he can break away and make big plays left and right. So, I mean, that's the crazy thing about Tank is that, he might just be scratching the surface of how good he can be. And, what he was last season was pretty special.
He's big on his frame. I mean, he's 6'4". He's not 6'3", he's not Derrick Henry size type back. He's not Bo Jackson, but he is 6 foot, 208 pounds. Is he a guy that you feel like they're totally comfortable 21, 22, 23 carry type game if that's what they need out of him?
Yeah, I think so. And if you go back to Brian Harson's history at Boise State, and you can look at Mike Bobo's track record as well with his running backs, if they've got a number one guy they like, they'll lean on him. Now, you want to be smart and you want to have a rotation, but they're not afraid to have a feature back and kind of feed him the rock. We saw it a ton at Boise State. When he had a really good running back, Harsin had a really good running back, he was not afraid to give him a lot of carries. Jay Ajayi, I think, was the best example of it, ended up going to the league. He had several guys that were NFL running backs out of Boise State, and those were guys that were comfortable getting around 20 carries a game. And so I think that's about, that's where you want Tank. Now, Sean Shivers is a great, combo with Bigsby. You've got a very similar guy who likes to get down, likes to accelerate, good at breaking tackles, obviously. So they're going to feed the ball to Sean, and they're going to find ways to get him the ball in his hands. But if Tank is as advertised, I don't think this coaching staff is going to be afraid of leaning on him and building this offense kind of around his strengths early on. Because when you got Nick's learning a new offense and the quarterback's learning a new offense, you got so much youth at wide receiver, you might need to lean on that running game, especially early in the year, and then play off of that. And so that could be some big games for Bigsby, especially in those non-conference matchups.
Always a pleasure. He'll be in our rotation again this year, talking Auburn football. Justin Ferguson from the Auburn Observer. Ferg, I appreciate you so much. Keep up the great work, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tom.
They do a tremendous job there, too, by the way. It's the Auburn Observer. It's a subscription service. It's not something you're getting bombarded with ads and things like that because you're paying for it. But I'll tell you what, it's worth it. It's worth the money. If you're an Auburn fan and you want to know what's going on the Plains, check out that Auburn Observer. It's really good. All right, let's get a break. When we come back, final segment of hour number 1, and we'll be open lines off at the top of the hour as well, right here on the Thom Abraham Show, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now. and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialist from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Chad, cue the cheesy Italian music. So you're in charge of the dinner spot, and the family is a hard group to please. Dad wants award-winning 21-day age certified Angus beef. Mom craves authentic Italian food like great-grandma. Sissy pretty much won't eat anything but fresh seafood. And old life of the party, Uncle Walter, likes to enjoy a cigar after dinner with some live local entertainment and some killer cocktails. So you think you're in a pickle? Well, you're not. Relax. I'm Tom Chapman, chef at Nick's Ristorante at 10300 Bailey Cove Road, just south of Weatherly. We have all that and more. Our friendly and helpful staff is eager to help you Tuesday through Saturday, starting at 5. So, corral that crazy crew of yours and give us a call at 256-489-8280 or tell them to check us out at nicksristorante.com. I promise you, the gang will all think you're a culinary cruise director of awesomeness if you take them all to Nick's. See you soon. Ciao. Okay, Chad, kill that music.
Nick's is for patrons 19 or older.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. Phone lines are open. If you want to jump in, you can do it now. What are you saying, Grizz? What do you mean the Eric King signs with the what? What is that? What do you mean the Eric King signs with the Panthers? What is that all? Oh, are they sponsoring him? Is he gonna?
Yeah, he's gonna get a sponsorship. Yeah. Got inked a little deal with the Predators or the Panthers. I'm sorry, not the Predators. Yeah, the Florida Panthers.
So what is the nature of the deal? Do we know? I mean,
he will appear at some Panthers games and events, plus engage with fans on social media and produce digital content. Everyone loves their digital content.
It's all about the digital content now. The deal also calls for King to work with the Panthers to develop a merchandise collection, co-branded art, in his own exclusive concession menu item. Oh, he's going to have like a
the
like
dumpster
a big dog bacon gravy cheeseburger like we got at Bubby's. At all Panther games. And
the De'Aaron King flop burger.
Ouch.
Yeah.
It's harsh.
Yeah. The bum.
Panthers,
they call it the bum.
Panthers chief strategy officer Sam Dorr said Derek is a superstar both on and off the field, and we are excited to reach and engage South Florida sports fans in new ways through this collaborative partnership. Now, this is genius on the part of the Panthers to cross-promote. There's no doubt. But is De'Aaron King, the one thing I want to know is De'Aaron King a big hockey fan? I mean, does he love hockey? I mean, does he know what he's looking at when he goes to the game? I mean, I'm not being funny. I mean, I wonder. Maybe he's a hockey fan like Chuck. Charles Barkley, a huge hockey fan.
And
he's a big hockey fan.
Is he a huge Panthers fan too? At that, so I mean, I don't know too many people that are Panthers fans. Maybe just in that.
Oh, they're
area,
big in Miami.
Yeah,
I was actually at a Panthers affiliate back in the day, and we used to go over and go to a lot of games, and they were big, over there. So that's interesting. The story starts I know Tim Reynolds. Tim Reynolds wrote the story. The Florida Panthers have signed a quarterback. That's funny. That's an interesting story. That's a good job by you. Shane in Decatur wants to know, Tom, what's the new building going up at Alabama A&M? It's the basketball arena. That's the basketball arena, Shane. They got a new basketball arena going up there. I haven't been by there in the last month or so. The last time I was by there, you could see all of the stands. Grizz, have you been by there lately, up on the North Parkway?
No, I have not, actually.
When I went by, you could see all the stands, like the structure, the superstructure, the inside. I assume it's all closed in now, probably closed in by now. But that's the new basketball arena for Alabama A&M. Do we know what the capacity for that thing is going to be? Is it 5,000, 6,000, 4,000? It's probably in the 4,000 range, I would think, somewhere in there. But that's what it is, Shane. Glad I could answer your question. That's what it is. The Braves now, forget the Mets. The Braves now are 2 games behind the Phils for the lead in the NL East. Now the Braves play the Reds this week, and the Phillies got the Los Angeles Dodgers this week. Now the Phillies are hot. The Braves are hot. The Phillies are even hotter than the Braves. Now Cincinnati comes in hot, but I think that the Braves have a better chance. I think the Braves, before the weekend, I think the Braves pick up another game, Grizz, on Philadelphia, all right? And then the Braves go to Washington, and Philadelphia has the Reds in. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to say that when we do next Monday's, pennant race report.
Yeah.
Like on Monday now, I like to do kind of like just update everybody. Where are you? Where are we at, right? When we do next Monday's pennant race report, I think the Braves will be in first place. How about that?
I can agree with you on that.
Playing hot. I know you want it.
I know I want it.
The question is, do you
Phillies are winning 8 in a row. Was it 8 in a row, 9 in a row now? So it's going to be hard. 8 in a row. I think it's 8 in a row.
Who?
Oh, the Phillies have. They had 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Like 8.
So it's gonna be, it's gonna be tough. I mean, we're late in the season.
They got the Dodgers. They got the Dodgers and the Reds.
Yeah.
While the Braves have the Reds, who are hot, but they get them at home. They've got the Reds and then the Nats, who have mailed it in up in Washington. I think that by Sunday night, the Braves are in first place. Could be a tie, but I say they're in first place by Sunday night. All right, phone lines are open at the top of the hour. We're going to get coachy with Pete Golden. I'll explain, plus much more, coming up right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
At this hour, Giants running back Saquon Barkley expected to return to practice for the first time since suffering a knee injury in Week 2 last season. Expected to be on the field practicing with his teammates in the limited capacity this afternoon. The Giants plan to slowly ramp up Barkley's activity over the next couple of weeks. New York opens up the regular season versus Denver on September 12th. Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson back at practice. He'd missed the previous 5 days. No reason given by the team for his absence. Watson, who still wants a trade, is facing 22 active lawsuits alleging sexual assault and inappropriate behavior. ESPN's Mike Reese reports an MRI on tap today for Patriots tight end Hunter Henry. On the injured shoulder he suffered yesterday at practice, the 26-year-old was a key piece in New England's busy offseason, signing a 3-year, $37 million contract.
While other stations keep changing their lineup,
yeah!
We keep plugging away.
Did you lose your mind all of a sudden, or was it a slow, gradual process?
Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama. We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live, here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby.
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like Dale McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn.
enough to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
And welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. This segment of the show is brought to you by the Rocket City Trash Pandas. They will be back in town on the 17th for Ladies' Night when they come back for another nice little, homestand. In the meantime, they are now off to Smokies Stadium to take on the Tennessee Smokies, who do not have a very good record. Okay, the Trash Pandas are game over 500 now. Off of their crazy win yesterday. In fact, the last 2 games, absolutely nuts. And the Tennessee Smokies 35-45. So a chance for the Trash Pandas to stack up some wins. So we'll see whether or not they can get that done. Having said that, Grizz, did you see that the numbers? The Trash Pandas establishing a new record for runs in a game. They had 14 runs on Saturday night's game win against Chattanooga. And that set the record for the Trash Pandas, most runs in a game. That lasted 1 day. 1 day. They scored 26 runs yesterday. They won 26-3 yesterday over Chattanooga. 23 hits, a new record. 7 of the 9 starters had multi-hit game. The Trash Pandas had 10 doubles. The most doubles they had ever had in a game before were 5. They had 10 doubles and 5 home runs. That's a lot of hits, Grizz.
Like a football game.
Oh, my gosh. They're getting into the mood. They're scoring 14,
yeah, we're getting ready for football season.
They're ready for football season.
Hey, there's the train.
There you go. That was the Trash Pandas offense against
last
Chattanooga.
night.
Hard to stop a train. Let me hear that train. Why is he blowing his horn?
He's about to go over the intersection.
Oh, yeah.
You not know trains? You don't know train logic?
Yeah, I didn't really, I mean, they're like usually... I don't usually hear them actually blowing their horn there. He must be getting ready to...
Oh, yeah, he's
going
moving.
back and forth.
Oh, he's moving.
Is he moving?
Oh, he's moving right now.
I want to say so much about that train.
I like the graffiti on the side of it. I always like train graffiti.
You like train
It's always
graffiti?
pretty to look at, yeah. People are creative. I could never draw that pretty.
Grizz, the Trash Pandas are now 2 games behind Birmingham in the North Division of the South, the AA South North. I love that. It's got to be Southern League. I want this to be the Southern League next year. It's going to be the Southern League next year. It's going to be the Southern League Northern Division. In the AA South North, they're 2 games back of Birmingham now for the division lead, but apparently that doesn't even matter this season, which this is pissing me off too, as the 2 best records will go at it in the championship series in September. It's going to be the 2 best records in the league. Right now they are 4 games back in the loss column from the Mississippi Braves and the Montgomery Biscuits, who are both in the AA South Division. So right now what would happen is, you'd have a North Division winner and a South Division winner, but the 2 teams in the South Division would play for the league championship. But that's not fair, Grizz. You know why? Because you're playing a divisional schedule. You're not playing an equal schedule.
Right.
So maybe the reason the teams in the South have a better record because they're playing crappier teams, in other games. Yeah. Because you play more teams in your own division. I mean, we got 1 crappy team in our division. The North has 1 crappy team.
Yeah.
And that's the Smokies, right? But Birmingham, Rocket City, and Chattanooga are all right on top of each other. So you got 3 good teams battling it out. But in the South Division, you got Pensacola. No, they're about the same as us. They got the worst team. They got Biloxi over there. The worst team, the old Huntsville Stars are the worst team in this league.
And how about this, though, too? I mean, Rocket City will never play Mississippi this year. So they're not even going to get a chance to play them.
The heck is that?
They're not even going to get to play them. They're not going to travel here. And I don't even think they're going there either. Biloxi came here. Montgomery came here. And I believe Montgomery only came here once. And did they even...
I don't remember. Did we play Pensacola?
They even played Pensacola. But they only played Montgomery once, I believe, at home.
We played Biloxi. Because remember, they came in. It was supposed
they came
to be
once.
Stars.
Yeah, I was there for a couple of those days.
You were there for them. So I don't. Why not even playing the Mississippi Braves?
No.
Home or away?
Nope.
So then it should be if you win your division.
It just doesn't make sense. You don't get to play a certain team, but then they could just like mop the floor, like you said, with their division and.
There's only 8 teams in the whole league. Why can't you not play Mississippi? Pearl, Mississippi is 20 minutes away. It's not that far. So you win your division, and it's a good night now. Thank you very much.
So they do play Pensacola at the end of the year.
We play Pensacola? So the new arena at A&M will hold 6,000. Is that right, Chris?
That's what I saw.
All right. That's a good-size arena.
Yeah.
I mean, you realize that's the same size as the VBC?
Yeah.
Am I lying? What's the VBC hold?
Right around
6,100, 6,200? I mean, for basketball, you could get more than that in the VBC. The VBC is a little bit bigger. The VBC holds 6,200, I believe, for hockey. 61, 6,200, something like that. So you could put a little bit more in there for basketball. But, I wonder if they're going to do like some high school basketball. I'm sure they will at the new A&M arena. What are they calling that thing? Does it have a name yet? Is that the
Not
John
really sure.
Stallworth Arena? He's all the money he's poured into that place. I try not to get overly coachy on the show. I always kind of laugh when I hear guys who had never moistened a jock or hung a whistle around their neck talk about, well, this team's playing a 30 defense or a 50 defense. It used to be the 50. Back when I coached in the 80s and the 90s, it was all about whether you were an even defense or an odd defense, which typically meant a 40 or a 50 front. But a 50 front played like a 40 front in a lot of ways because the one outside linebacker, the one defensive end in the 50 in the five-man front would still be a drop guy. All right? So if we read pass, he would drop, so it would end up playing like a 4-4. The defense that I coached in, we were a 40 front, but we used a shade nose. So our techniques were very similar. We were an up-the-field, heels of the offensive line, attack type look. We weren't a read and react 30 front. The old read and react 30 front, which is what a pure zero technique nose tackle, they would read and react the offensive line, and it basically was their job, 3 guys to take up 5 so that the linebackers could make all the tackles. And you would have those 2 inside linebackers, the Mike and the Will linebacker, but they were inside linebackers that were, if they didn't make 14 or 15 tackles, everybody, oh my God, your Mike linebacker made 14 tackles. Well, he better make 14 tackles. That's his job. You're freeing everything up for those guys to make those tackles. Well, the defense that I coached in, our defensive line was an up-the-field defensive line, so they were expected to be in on plays and make plays and so on. But it was a 4-4 look, but really the fourth linebacker, if you will, you got to understand something. In the 80s and in the 90s, you had to stop the run first. Everything was about stopping the run first. We didn't start series in nickel. And nickel is 5 defensive backs. We didn't start series in nickel. Now, according to Pete Golding, Alabama's in nickel like 80% of the time. That's their base defense is nickel. But you got to remember, their nickel, which is a 4-2-5. You guys are hearing this. Now the trendy thing is the 4-2-5 stack. The stack defense. Just shut up, okay? It's just like at SEC Media Days. Remember, Grizz, when the guy said, well, when you're in 12 personnel, all of a sudden the media figured out that, coach speak for, one running back and 2 tight ends was 12 personnel or 11 personnel at one time. And Saban was like, I don't know what you're talking about. What's 12 personnel? Every once in a while, the media, they'll catch on to a particular term. Before that, it was nickel and dime defense. Yeah. Dime defense being 6 DBs and nickel defense being 5 DBs. But, somebody will teach them something, like cloud coverage or sky coverage. They'll know just enough to know what does cloud coverage mean and what does sky coverage mean.
And they may not even use that the week before, the week coming up or whatever, and they just asked that from the week. Yeah, I get it. They got it from the week before, and they're like, they think they actually asked something legitimately. It's like, no.
So Pete Golding was asked, and this is precious. Pete Golding was asked about the 4-2-5 stack defense. Like it's some kind of new thing, it's some kind of new deal. And as he'll explain here, in the quote-unquote 4-2-5 stack defense, what it is a 30 front. All right? And By the way, Pete has been talking to Nick Saban now way too much. And in this 4-2-5 stack defense, he's going to explain here that the one quote-unquote defensive end in the 4 is actually a linebacker. So it's really a 3-3 concept. It's a 3-3 nickel defense, okay? Because that linebacker is a drop linebacker. He can either come or he can drop. But I thought this was great. Pete Golding explaining the 4-2-5. And I just wonder how many of the media members who were listening to this, their eyes just glazed over and they had no idea what the hell was being said.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, nickel defense, which, if you look at us from a base down structure, the people that we play, we're in that 90% of the time on a base down. So,
all right, base down, that means first down. That means that's what you're opening with. You're opening right off the bat in the nickel defense because of the spread offense. You're just in a nickel. That's your base.
Outside looking in, you're going to break us down as a 4-2-5, right?
Outside looking in means you're an idiot. No, I'm not being condescending. I'm just saying outside looking in, you're going to say that that's a 4-2-5 because that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
To you, there's 4 guys up there, and then they're both a 4-2-5 stack defense. Outside looking in is coach speak for you're an idiot.
And if they put big people in the game, then we're going to put big people in the game, and that's when we'll go 3-4, right? So about 80% of base downs, we're in a 4-2-5 structure. The difference for us is, that 4th D lineman is an outside backer. So,
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that 4th lineman is a backer who can drop, which makes it a 3-3.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, if you bring the safety down, it makes it a 5.
It gives you the flexibility to drop him in coverage or bring him, right? So, again, that's a 3-3 mindset, right? But that outside backer for us is –
and now here comes the heights. Now he's getting it right. Hanging with Saban a little bit too much.
Is used to being at the end of the line. So, obviously, it's the coverage concepts. 2x2 principles are pretty easy, but when they get to 3x1 –
Uh-oh. Here he goes. 2x2 principles. We know what that is, right, Chris? Versus 3x1?
Yes.
2 receivers to each side?
Yeah.
3 receivers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trips to the right,
where
one to the left.
Yeah. Now, but where do you put your speed guy?
Putting guys, right? Used to be, hey, the Y is going to be at 3, right? So now you can play your games on 1 and 2. You can still double the backside X because that's going to be the isolation. That's their guy. But now they're putting speed at 3, their fastest guy to the trip side, and they're putting their best guy at X. Right, so then now it's that dilemma for the backside safety. Hey, do I want to take it to 3? Right, because we got a backer on him and you're a nickel. Right, that's the money backer. And now I'm going to leave the backside X isolated. Or now, hey, I'm going to double the backside X and have speed there. So, we run multiple different personnel groupings, whether it's 3-4, right, from a 4-2 structure, right, or a dime structure where we got 6 DBs in. But the biggest thing on that is the coverage change-ups, right, based on what they do.
Coach, who is your X receiver?
That means you don't know anything about this. That's what that means. That means don't ask me these kind of questions because you don't know anything about this. All right? Typically, see what he's saying? It doesn't. If it's 3x1, if they got trips to one side, who is in the trips and who is the one?
Right.
Are you going 3 guys over here? But a tight end is a nasty split, and he's one of the 3 guys, and you got one of those like a Kyle Pitts type tight end that you can put over there, and you've got 3 guys that are present, and you put speed to the open side, to the X. Or now he says, I got guys that are putting teams that are putting the speed guy on the 3 side, and they'll run 2 underneath and 1 deep, and then they put their best guy. And then notice he said speed to the 3 side, and their best guy on the back side, on the 1 side,
right?
Because he's the guy. Because what are you going to do? You are going to roll your coverage to the 3 side. Mm-hmm. Now, remember, he said we got the drop linebacker, which means they're dropping somebody underneath the flat, right?
Right.
So they're going to drop a guy into the flat underneath the underneath route because they're not going to run 3 verticals out there. So then what you're going to end up doing is you're going to put an island. You're going to have a DB on an island out there one-on-one with their best receiver, not their fastest receiver, their best receiver who is on the backside, and the safety is rolling the coverage, whether it's cloud or sky, and you don't know what that means. But whether it's cloud or sky, that has to do with the wide side of the field, because we still have a wide side of the field in college football, unlike in the NFL. So now you got there. I thought this was absolutely precious.
You can still double the backside X because that's going to be the isolation. That's their guy. But now they're putting speed at 3, their fastest guy to the trip side, and they're putting their best guy at X. Right. So then now it's that dilemma for the backside safety. Hey, do I want to take it to 3? Right. Because we got a backer on him and you're a nickel.
See what he's telling you is the safety's making the call there.
Yeah.
The safety has to make the call on the field as to where to roll in their coverage to. And so he has to decide, and he has to understand, well, there is a backer that's underneath that's going to drop. That's that 4th guy in the line. That's why it's a 30 concept.
All right, that's the money backer. And now I'm going to leave the backside X isolated. Or now, hey, I'm going to double the backside X and have speed there. So, we run multiple.
See, if you double the backside X, then what did you do? You left speed alone. And they'll call him that, too. They identify. I mean, I don't know if they do because I'm not in their room. But in our room, you identify who the speed guy is, and then you just call that guy speed. And so the safety will be at the safety will be back there, and he'll be going, speed left, speed left, speed left. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so he's telling them that's the guy, the speed guy is the guy that we're worrying about over the top. So you're going to have that cover. So much is done on the field in terms of defensively, and that's why recognition is such a big part of defensive coaching. Is you want those kids to recognize who the personnel groupings are.
Multiple different personnel groupings, whether it's 3-4, right, from a 4-2 structure, right, or a dime structure where we got 6 DBs in. But the biggest thing on that is the coverage change-ups, right, based on what they do.
Yeah. The coverage change-ups based on what they do.
Right. Which one side could be in a man, like you said, with the 3 on one side and 1 on the other. On the one side, you could have man-to-man on the 1, and then on 3, you could be running like a cover 3 or a cover 4 on the other side. You're not necessarily running a cover 4 for the entire secondary. You're running 2 different types of coverages in the secondary.
And a cover 4 would be quarters.
Right.
Cover 3 is thirds, where you're taking deep thirds, and then you'll roll sky or cloud coverage to the side. You might take quarters to the short side of the field and thirds to the open side of the field. Then they have a lot of man under concepts where you'll have man underneath the coverage and 2 deep safeties or 1 deep safety, or you can play 1 in a hole. And 1 in a hole means it looks like you've got 2 deep safeties, and then they switch at the snap, and you'll have your strong safety. He'll come down and he'll play in the hole. He'll play what they call robber technique.
Right.
And in a robber technique, he'll come down low in the hole and he'll rob on the ball. He's free to rob on the ball. And you got 1 deep then. And then there's zero technique, zero coverage. People think that cover 1 is man to man.
Yeah.
The people that just say they don't know. They say cover 1 is man to man. But cover 1 is not man-to-man. Cover 1, typically, again, everybody's language is a little bit different.
Yeah.
What other people call a 7 technique or a 6 technique, I call the 9 technique, that outside guy off the outside of the tight end.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when you say cover 1, a lot of people think man-to-man. Oh, it's cover 1, which means 1-on-1. Oh, it's cover 1. No, cover 1 means that there's 1 guy free, whether he's robbing in the hole or whether he's over the top deep, there's 1 guy in zone coverage. What man-to-man is zero coverage.
Yeah.
Zero coverage. And Steve Spurrier famously said at a clinic that I was at in 1993, it's fantastic. Steve Spurrier said, man, I love when we get zero coverage. He says, I don't know what's going to happen, but somebody's band's going to be playing, which is a fantastic line. He said, we're either going to beat them deep or they're going to pick us off and take it to the house. He goes, when there's cover 0, somebody's band is going to be playing. That was one of the all-time great lines. I love when he said that. But again, in cover 0 is very, very dangerous now. Cover 0 used to not be a big problem because quarterbacks weren't really running quarterbacks that could throw. Either you had a running quarterback that you defended, like Tommy Frazier. You never worried about him with the throw. You worried about them playing. They would run a lot of, option type game. And usually running quarterbacks were running quarterbacks and throwing quarterbacks were throwing quarterbacks. But then we had the evolution of the throwing quarterback who could run. And then so what happens is when you play cover 0, everybody's running you can run everybody off. You run the safety up, you run all the DBs up. They got to turn and run with the wide receivers. You turn your back to the line of scrimmage, and you don't even know that the quarterback is gone. So you got to play zone against these kind of quarterbacks so that you can see what the hell is going on in the backfield. Let me get Wolverine down in here. Wolverine Dan, welcome to the show. How are you? Omaha! He was great, man. We need him on Monday Night Football so bad. He was fantastic.
I agree. But, you're right about that quarterback deal. When I played, the crazy thing this weekend, my son he said, Dad, bring your book over. And, I got my records that I did and all the stuff I did in sports. I brought it over and he wanted my grandson to look at it because he's playing tackle football. So, he wanted to see what Papa Dan did. So I showed him stuff. And then Ginger, she sat down and looked at it. We were watching the inductee speeches, and she's looking at me. She goes, I'm looking at this book here, and you did this and you did that. And I said, you know what? I said, I did all that, but here's the thing. When I played high school ball, and when you mentioned the running quarterback and throwing quarterback, I lost interest, man. And the reason why is that we had a running quarterback, and the offense was set up for that. I would go down the field wide open past everybody, just standing out in the open. Please, can you at least get it to me? And the quarterback that I played in junior high, this kid had a rocket arm. He was a big dude, couldn't run, but he could throw the crap out of the ball, and we were killing everybody. So for me, hearing that running quarterback deal, it didn't work for me. But it's hard to find that quarterback that could do one thing really good and one thing not so bad, meaning could throw the ball down the field but also run a little bit.
It happened to both of my my sons that played football. When Joe left, when we moved from Florida to Alabama, after his sophomore year in high school, he was the leading receiver on his team, both freshman and sophomore years, and he was finna to catch about 50 balls his junior year. And when we got to Sparkman High School, they didn't have a quarterback that could throw the ball. So they just ran the ball. They ran one wide receiver, 3 tight ends, and the quarterback just ran the ball all the time. And he had no position because he wasn't a blocking guy. He was just a possession receiver, and there was no place for him on the field. They put one speed receiver on the field, and it wasn't him. And there was 3 tight ends, and they were hoping that he would grow into a tight end. And then most recently, my son John. He was the leading receiver on his team and had an opportunity. He was written up in the recruiting magazines and things like that as to what he was going to be able to do. And, again, they didn't have a quarterback that could throw the ball. And it was a nightmare for him. Not a nightmare, but, he'd catch 3 passes a game. They'd throw the ball 4 times. They'd throw it to him 3 times. And that was it.
The running quarterback we had could never, ever get it to me. Never, Tom. I'm wide open going, dude. But anyway, let's move on to what really went on yesterday. Calvin Johnson, the dude looked good. It looked like he could still play, but man, it sounded like he really got his back screwed up. He played in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And a lot of those throws to Stafford, and it was good to see him there at the inductee ceremony, but Stafford threw a lot of balls over the middle to Johnson and threw it way up in the air. Because not only can he jump like a deer, Calvin Johnson, but he's a tall dude. And, man, you leave yourself very vulnerable. And I know why his back got all messed up because of the football.
Well, you know what he was talking about, all that pain management, right? You understand that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get it.
He's big into he's big into ganja. He's big into the ganja, and he thinks it's something that would really help people with pain. He's pushing for the NFL to legalize it as a pain management way as opposed to opioids. And he might be onto something, you know what I mean? But he's that's one of the reasons. He left the game because he needed the ganja to keep him manage his pain, and it was he'd be popping positive like crazy, so he just quit.
Listen, dude, they call it CBD oil now. It's made from that, man.
Yeah.
You know what, Tom? The stuff works for people. A neighbor across the street can barely walk, and she starts taking it by a pill, and every once in a while does the ointment, and she's walking like she was 30 years younger.
I wonder sometimes if some of it is mental. I wonder if the science is behind it. I wonder if somebody hands you something and says this is going to make you feel better, whether it makes you feel better. I think it's I don't know that it's a placebo. I'm just saying if she thinks it's going to make her feel better. I just wonder how the mind is a very, very powerful thing. So if you think that this is something that's good for you and that'll make you better, I think that I don't know that the science supports it as much as the people mentally saying, yeah, this makes me feel better.
Well,
the CBD oil thing is to me. I think the CBD. I'm not saying it, what pot can do, because I know certainly there's some control there. But just the plain CBD oil thing, that whole craze, I'm not sure that was not a little bit of a gimmick.
Well, I do know the other stuff works because I know what that feels like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right, listen, brother. I got to get back to my lemon water, man, because lemon water filters out the liver, brother.
Yeah, lemon water. That's good for you. I appreciate the call. Let's get a break. When we come back, Tom D'Angelo will join us. We're talking about Bobby Bowden's great career next, right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
Will the Atlanta Falcons make the playoffs in 2021? The latest playoff odds have the Falcons at plus 185 to make the postseason and minus 225 to miss postseason play. The Falcons finished the 2020 season at 4-12. Over-under win totals for the Falcons in 2021, 7.5. After getting through the bulk of NBA free agency, odds makers are looking ahead to the 2022 NBA Finals. The latest futures have the Brooklyn Nets, the odds-on favorite, at plus 200 to win an NBA title, followed by the Lakers at plus 300, the Bucks and Warriors each at plus 900. Errol Spence Jr., a minus 210 favorite over Manny Pacquiao at plus 180, August 21st for the WBC and IBF welterweight title in Vegas.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Ann Adams. Ann, I understand you have some exciting news.
Yes, Wes, I do. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services was just recognized in the 30th annual Harris Poll Equitrin as the Real Estate Agency Brand of the Year and the most trusted real estate brand.
That is awesome news, Ann. Great companies in Huntsville, Alabama, winning awards is what we want. Is it a great time to list your home?
Yes, it is. The inventory is low and the market is heating up.
And I understand you're also looking for agents.
I am. We are so busy, Wes, we need agents to keep up with the demand.
Ann Adams and Rise Real Estate has been doing business in North Alabama for the last 35 years. If you want to do business with someone you can trust, she has been writing contracts since she was 9 years old. Call Ann today at 256-337-2625.
Chad, cue the cheesy Italian music. So you're in charge of the dinner spot, and the family is a hard group to please. Dad wants award-winning 21-day-age certified Angus beef. Mom craves authentic Italian food like great-grandma. Sissy pretty much won't eat anything but fresh seafood. And old life of the party, Uncle Walter, likes to enjoy a cigar after dinner with some live local entertainment and some killer cocktails. So you think you're in a pickle? Well, you're not. Relax. I'm Tom Chapman, chef at Nick's Ristorante at 10300 Bailey Cove Road, just south of Weatherly. We have all that and more. Our friendly and helpful staff is eager to help you Tuesday through Saturday, starting at 5. So, corral that crazy crew of yours and give us a call at 256-489-8280 or tell them to check us out at nicksristorante.com. I promise you, the gang will all think you're a culinary cruise director of awesomeness if you take them all to Nick's. See you soon. Ciao. Okay, Chad, kill that music.
Nick's is for patrons 19 or older.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on two services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. I hope all of you are well. These are trying times we're experiencing right now, and I want you to know that we at Baumhauer's are committed more than ever to providing a legendary dining experience to everyone. Everyone is important to us, and everyone is welcome. Please allow us to serve you in a way that makes you feel safe, appreciated, welcome, and special. Because we're all special in the eyes of the ones and the one that counts. God bless.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect a partly sunny sky. High temperatures will be topping out in the lower 90s for the afternoon. Isolated showers and thunderstorms are expected in the afternoon as well. Heat index values back in the 100s. For Monday night, a partly cloudy sky, low temperatures falling into the lower 70s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up today at noon. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. Segment of the show is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford. For all your service needs, it's Woody Anderson Ford. If you saw that, if you go over there and you see the service lanes and you see the pride that they take in their own building, you're going to see what kind of pride that they're going to take in servicing your vehicle the right way. So go on down there, check it out, make an appointment for Woody Anderson Ford. It doesn't matter where you got your vehicle. It doesn't matter what the make or model of your vehicle is. Woody Anderson Ford, they've got what you need to get that service done properly. All right, we are in the process of efforting Tommy DeAngelo. I'm sure he's been very busy because, he covered Bobby Bowden for a number of years and certainly did a great job doing it and knows him very, very well. And I want to get his thoughts about Bobby Bowden, the great Bobby Bowden. But I got to tell you, this cut here is quintessential Bobby Bowden walking off the field, realizing that his team has been called for 5 holding penalties. And what he in telling the sideline reporter what he needs to do about it, it starts out with him talking to the referee.
Got about 5 holding penalties from there.
I understand, Coach.
Do they ever do it at the spots?
The ones I've seen are your players, Coach.
It's never had that many.
You mentioned the penalties right there on your offensive line. What's your message to those young guys in there?
You got a bunch of young guys. We've got 5 dadgum holding penalties. It's the same thing that beat us against Wake Forest. You know what? It'll beat us tonight if we don't stop it.
How do you stop it?
How do you stop it?
What are you going to tell them?
You go in there and start praying. You know what? Pray that they'll quit holding.
I love that. 5 daggum holding penalties. How do you stop it? Go in there and start praying that they'll stop holding. That's Bobby Bowden right there. When he wasn't winning an incredible number of football games, the second most, really, all time. All right, joining us now, Tom DeAngelo from the Palm Beach Post, covered Bobby Bowden in the Florida State Seminoles for years before he jumped on the Miami Hurricanes, and he joins us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Tom, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again.
I appreciate you joining us, and this wasn't unexpected, so I'm sure a lot of people had prepared their comments and thoughts about Bobby Bowden, but just talk about just covering the man and him, the guy behind the scenes and the guy in front of the scenes and how he was what he was,
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Tom. He's the same guy behind the scenes as he is in front of the scenes, in front of the camera. He was unique. I mean, there'll never be another one like him. Even among the coaches in his era, the Steve Spurriers and Frank Beamers and Tom Osborne's and Howard Schnellenbergers, and go down the list. They're different than the guys now. Obviously, it's changed. It's even more of a business. There's even more. They're even more protected from the media and this thing, and it's even less transparency. But even when you compare him to those amongst his peers from that era, he was unique. He was different. He was one of a kind. Nobody. I mean, this guy had his phone number in the phone book, for his entire life in Tallahassee. Right. So right now, you can find his phone number in the Tallahassee phone book. He was just he was a kind and gentle. He was a paradox compared for what he did, coaching such a violent sport, coaching a sport in which we know how rough and tough it is, but this guy was such a gentle, empathetic, kind person that you could never put the two together. But saying that, I will say this: he was still a heck of a football coach who was passionate, as we heard by that clip, that made him a great, successful football coach. But as good as he was doing that, he was a better person when it came to his faith and his family.
Nick Saban told a story yesterday that we played the clip of a little while ago, where Saban was of course, a fellow West Virginian, and Saban was a graduate assistant for Don James at Kent State when Saban's dad died. And Bobby was the head football coach at West Virginia at the time, in Morgantown, about 25 miles away from where Saban grew up and lived. And he called for young Nick Saban at Kent State and said, I noticed a hard time for you and probably for your mom. If you need to come back to West Virginia, I've got a job for you on my staff. I'll put you on my staff if you need a job. And he didn't even hardly know him. I mean, he knew, Bobby knew his dad, but he hardly knew, Nick Saban hardly knew, the 22-year-old Nick Saban hardly knew Bobby Bowden, and Bobby Bowden was offering him a job back in West Virginia just so he could be close to his mother after his dad died. That's the kind of guy he was.
Yeah, I mean, toward the end, his loyalty and his kindness and just kind of feeling his feeling for people, probably to a fault, because towards the end, people, and even throughout his career, of course, after not early, because when they were on a run, no one felt there was need for change. But in the 2000s, and as we know, he 7-6, 3 of his last 4 years, forced to resign. Things weren't going well, but Bobby would not fire. Bobby did not. I'm not sure if it's still true. If towards the end, I don't think he ever fired an assistant coach, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that had never happened, that he fired an assistant coach, because he just wouldn't do that. That's the type of, and it got him in the end, because people were calling for him to, especially his son, and his son had to walk in. I believe it was after they lost to Wake Forest, something like 22-0 in Tallahassee, and Jeff had to basically resign on his own. Had to go in and tell him, I've got to leave. This is not good for you. This is killing you. And he had to do it on his own, because Bobby just wouldn't fire people he was loyal to, and that kind of hurt him in the end. But that's the type of person he was, and that was a wonderful trait, but a trait in his business that was difficult to overcome sometimes.
There's no doubt about it. That must have been painful for him at the end, because the joy of working with your son, and I noticed to be a fact, because I work with some of my sons and have on and off, and I worked with my dad, early in my career. But the joy of working with his son would have been something, and it had to be so difficult for him to see Jeff getting beat up the way he was getting beat up during that time.
Yeah, that was a rough time. I was in Tallahassee a lot 3 out of those last 4 years when he was 7-6. There was calls, there were emails. It got ugly, and I believe TK Weatherall was the president at the time, and TK had played for Bowden. He was in a very difficult position, and people were, and fans were, and people who admired and loved this coach, who every single thing they accomplished in the football field, he was responsible for. And now they had to say, maybe it's time. It's it's really tough when legends go out that way. But he did it as graceful as ever. I know it hurt him. I know it, and everybody knows it hurt him because it took him a while to go back to attend a Florida State football game. But he never ever said anything. He never disparaged the university or the president or the athletic director or the fans or anybody who was calling for his firing. He went out just like you would expect someone like him. He went out graceful, and he knew what was happening out there. He decided that this is the end. They came together, and his last game was at Gator Bowl, and it was typical Bobby Bowden winning that game. And the way that I still see that. I still remember, and I still can envision that press conference with him and Ann there, and Ann saying, "All right, it's time to come home."
Yeah. Now let's go back now to the glory run, because from 1987 to 2000, 14 years, and this is something that Alabama fans are in the midst of right now. They're kind of dealing with right now. But this guy, for 14 years, finished in the top 5 every single year, double-digit wins every single year. And I tried to make this point earlier. I know they won 2 national championships in that period of time, but I'm here to say this. I went back and I looked at where they were in that, going into the bowl games every one of those 14 years. And Tommy, in 13 of those years, they would have been in a 14 playoff. They would have been in. Like Alabama got in and won in 2017 as the number 4 team in the country, beat number 3 Georgia in the national championship game. So I just wonder, in 13 years, say 11 of those years that they didn't win a national championship, had they been in a 4-team playoff, how many times would those Florida State teams have slipped in as number 3 or number 4 and won a national championship? I think the guy could have won 3 or 4 more national championships easily in that run.
There's no question. Number one, even the way the system was then, there's one, one Miami game. He was in, right off the top of my head, I know he was in 2 other national championship games. They lost against Tennessee and Oklahoma.
Right.
At the very end. So, and besides that, the results of one game here or there, 2 wide lefts. That if they go 3 feet in the other way, he's a national champion. That easily could have won 4 or 5. And you talk about Alabama, yes, we look at Alabama as having this remarkable run, but since 2011, so you're talking about the last 10 years for Alabama, they're still out of the top 4 twice. It's only 8 out of 10 years. They're not going to get the top. They're not going to have it. 2 years ago, they finished 8.
Yeah, it's actually 9 out of 13. So out of the 13-year run since Saban got it going in 2009, and in the 13 or in 2008, in the 13-year run, they missed the top 5 4 times. This guy never missed the top 5. And like I said, would have been in the playoffs. He would have been in the playoffs every year because generally they were in the top 4. It wasn't top 5. It was usually top 4.
Yeah, it was. I think top 5 was one time actually. But you're talking about the most Alabama has done consecutively in the top 5 is 4 years.
Right.
So 5 years. So you think about that. This was 14 straight years, and we look at Alabama as being a juggernaut, a dynastic, the most powerful program, and they're 9 years away. They're still not within 9 years of what Bowden did.
Yeah.
When you talk about top 5, so that's how dominating it was. And not only that, Tom, Bowden. The word came out about Bowden being terminally ill. I was at the ACC kickoff,
right?
And so obviously, people were talking there. The ACC, Bobby Bowden gave an entire conference instant credibility with Florida State going into the ACC. Florida State went 70-2. Their first 72 football games in the ACC.
Yeah.
Instant credibility. Who knows? Would Clemson have had this run? Clemson had to get better. Clemson had to compete with Florida State. Would Clemson be where they are now? Would the ACC? My guess is the ACC would be like the AAC, a nice, a good football conference, but certainly not a Power 5 type of conference with a team that's with a team that's been in the playoffs every single year. First year was Florida State and Clemson every other year since the playoffs were formed. There's no chance they would be that without Bobby Bowden, without Florida State coming into that conference, giving it instant credibility and putting that conference on the football map. Because we all know back then when Florida State got in it, and for many years, it was just known for basketball. So I mean, his handprints, fingerprints all over all kinds of areas of college football. Not just when we talk about Florida State. Florida State, it's remarkable, but even beyond that.
I think, 92. You look at the 92 season. That's the year that Alabama beats Miami for the national championship game, and really kind of got after them pretty good there in that game. I think that if that was a 4-team playoff, maybe they're playing Florida State for the national championship. That Alabama-Florida State game could have been epic for a national championship. I look at some of these other years, even 87, 88. You go back to those years and you look at what their record was at that time and how they end up finishing. They're winning the Fiesta Bowl, they're winning the Sugar Bowl. You just wonder whether or not, that 97 team, that won the Sugar Bowl and was number 3 in the country after beating Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl. That's a playoff team. That's an 11-1 team that's in the playoff. Who knows if that team wins the national championship that year? I mean, there's a number of years, where they really could have got it done. They were very much kind of like Alabama is now. They were that team during that run.
Yeah, and the thing about a lot of these teams, there were a few years where they stumbled at the end. They played for the championship when they lost to Florida after
right.
they had defeated Florida 2-1.
Right.
No, well in '96, I think it was a 2-1. They defeated them, and then they lost to them in the Sugar Bowl in a rematch. That was the Florida won the champ. That was another one that if they win that game, they're national champion. So that was 3 that were in the bowl game. But
right.
With a couple of losses, one year they lost the last 2 games. But other than those years, they not only were they dominant, but in like you're saying, at the end of the year, how would they have fared in a playoff situation? Their bowl record was just outstanding under him. So most years they got better as they went along, which would obviously mean, yes, going into a playoff, they'd have a very good chance. But and they a lot of times during these during this whole dynasty era, that they just blew out teams, good teams, ranked
right.
teams in these bowl games. Remember, they played every single one of these years. They played in a major bowl against somebody, most like in the top 10 for sure, top 5 more than often than not. So yeah, I mean his teams. But that's I didn't think about. I'd go through it and I'd look at how many more titles could he have won, and those the way the system was then. Take away I lost to Miami one season. He had several 1-loss seasons. Well, every one of those years, if he wins that game, and they were never blowouts. I mean, Miami was 3 of those games were 1 point. There were several of those games were close. Something goes the other way, he could have won very easily, like we said, 4, 5, 6. But in a playoff situation, you're right. I mean, he's in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs every year, and they're going to win. They're going to surely win more than 2 of them. That's for sure.
Right, that's what I'm figuring. In 13 playoffs, let's say take out the 2 that they won, so there's 11 other years that they would have been in the playoffs. So out of those 11 years, I could see him winning 3 or 4, and he would ended up with 5 or 6.
Easily.
That could have happened.
Yeah.
Then that one in '96 always stuck in my craw a little bit because they had beaten number 1 Florida, as you say. They beat Florida at home, and then they turned around and lost to Florida in the Sugar Bowl. They played Florida back-to-back games. And Florida's number 1. And it's like, wait a minute, we split these 2 games. I almost thought they should have been co-national champions or something. I know Florida hammered them. They crushed them.
But then people they'll argue with the year they did win it because they beat Notre Dame and because Notre Dame lost to Boston. They lost to Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame loses to Boston College.
Right.
So I mean, it went both ways for them in head-to-head situations that where they beat a team and or they lost to a team and they come back and they win a title, or vice versa. They lose to a team and they win it. They beat a team and then they don't win the title. So I think those even out. But man, in those years too, you look at the 1-loss teams. I mean, they didn't just sneak into the top 5, like you said. I think every single one, they were ranked in the top 4, except for the final, or they were ranked 5th in the AP in 2000. Every single one, I believe, every other year they were in the top top 4.
Yeah, no, that's
yeah,
great
they were.
point.
They were in the top 4 every other year. They were 5th one year. The last year the last year the dynasty ended. So that's remarkable. So that's basically 13 straight years in the top 4, 14 in the top 5.
Yeah. Tom D'Angelo has been our guest. Tommy, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to call you the week of the Alabama-Miami game, opening day, to see what Miami looks like going into that game. So I look forward to chatting with you again.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, that's going to be a great week to get kind of back to normal football. I hope. We hope.
Yes, I hope.
We get
yeah,
that.
right.
But there's some great game. It's just a great kickoff. I know there's games the weekend before, but that's going to be a great kind of official kickoff weekend to the
the Clemson-Georgia game is going to be great too. You know what I mean? Those two games are the ones I'm looking forward to. All right, man. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you.
No problem. Talk to you again soon. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. All right, we'll come back and wrap it up next. This is the Thom Abraham Show, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Brooks & Collier has always been about making the most of your outdoors. Our lush greenhouse and new furniture ideas will inspire you, but we're also about value. Our brands are so handsome, they'll make themselves comfortable inside or out, and so well made, they'll weather the weather for many years to come. Our staff can consult you on the right choices, and Lucy for sure can show us the sofa that's the most comfortable. Make the most of your outdoors. Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
We love our pets, and when we need boarding or vet services, we want the best. That's why we chose Paradise Pet Resort and Spa. Everything our pets needed, all in one place. Boarding for both dogs and cats. Doggy daycare, grooming and spa services, web cameras, and top-notch vet care, too. It's a true Paradise Pet Resort for your furry friends, serving all of North Alabama. Find out everything you need to know and book services online at ParadisePetResortandSpa.com. Located in Madison, just off 565 at Wall Triana, behind Cracker Barrel.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and Twitch. Just search 97.7 ESPN. We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
People stay just a little bit longer. We want to play.
Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. Final segment brought to you by TOC Sports. For all your injury needs, it's TOC. They can help you get right. Doesn't matter if you were hurt playing sports, if you were hurt cutting your lawn. Doesn't matter how you got injured, TOC has got the solution for you. They've been taking care of this valley for well over 20 years. The docks at TOC are outstanding. There are locations everywhere now. I mean, they're everywhere. You see them all over the valley. You see them up in Fayetteville. They're everywhere, all right? And they just do a tremendous job, and they've built a tremendous practice by taking care of the people of this Tennessee Valley. And their trainers are out at all the schools. I mean, think about it. All the schools that are practicing now got TOC trainers out there, just about every one of them, helping to take care of them. All right, I'm going to do tomorrow's Unleashed on Bobby Bowden's 14-year run, Nick Saban's 14-year run, the age of Bobby Bowden when he started his 14-year run, the age of Nick Saban when he started his 14-year run, which would be the 14th year, right, of Saban turning it around from 2008 season. So this would be the 14th season, right? 2007 he takes over. They go 7-6, and then 2008 they're undefeated in the regular season, and they're having their, they were 12-0. They ended up 12-2. So the interesting part of this is Nick Saban next year will turn 71. He turns 70 in October this year, Halloween. Next year he turns 71. Bobby Bowden's last great year was the year he was 71. He coached till he was 80. And his last 9 years were not good. They were melancholy at best. I don't think Nick Saban would coach 9 years outside of the top 10 in college football. I don't see it happening. But I'll make some comparisons, and we'll talk about that tomorrow, as well as many other things. All right here on the Thom Abraham Show. Chuck Oliver is next. For Grizz, I'm Tom. This is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You know it, and I know it. Sometimes a brand new car or truck just isn't in the budget. That's where we come in. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I want to talk to you about the advantages of buying a Ford Gold certified used car or truck. These are low-mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties, a 12-month, 12,000-mile comprehensive limited warranty, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Woody Anderson Ford Gold-certified vehicles have passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians and come with a 24-hour roadside assistance, too. You'll also get a Carfax vehicle history report and 22,000 Ford Pass reward points to use for future scheduled maintenance or other accessories. Plus, before you leave in your gold-certified used car, we'll be sure to give you a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change, even new wiper blades. Gold-certified vehicles at Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
I'm attorney Gary Wagner.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
At this hour, Giants running back Saquon Barkley expected to return to practice for the first time since suffering a knee injury in Week 2 last season. Expected to be on the field practicing with his teammates in the limited capacity this afternoon. The Giants plan to slowly ramp up Barkley's activity over the next couple of weeks. New York opens up the regular season versus Denver on September 12th. Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson back at practice. He'd missed the previous 5 days. No reason given by the team for his absence. Watson, who still wants a trade, is facing 22 active lawsuits alleging sexual assault and inappropriate behavior. ESPN's Mike Reese reports an MRI on tap today for Patriots tight end Hunter Henry. On the injured shoulder he suffered yesterday at practice, the 26-year-old was a key piece in New England's busy offseason, signing a 3-year, $37 million contract.
.97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience a tremendous new service lane